My brother came to my house saying, "You're destroying my engagement." Can you imagine your own brother showing up at your house, spitting mad, shouting that you're ruining his engagement, and that his fiancé's family thinks they're broke, all because you refuse to bail them out? Because that's exactly what happened to me. And when he told me to just forget the past, I knew it was finally time for him and everyone else to face the truth. See, I've spent my entire life as the backup kid. You know the type. The one who exists solely to make the golden child look even better by comparison. My younger brother, Tyler, who's 28 now, has been the undisputed star of our family since the day he was born. He could have set the house on fire, and my mom probably would have praised his initiative. Growing up, the favoritism wasn't just obvious. It was a loud, glaring spotlight on him and a shadow over me. Even family friends would pick up on it, making those awkward, uncomfortable jokes. Tyler got the huge bedroom, bay windows overlooking the backyard, walk-in closet, attached bathroom. Me? I got the converted storage room in the basement. Every time it rained, the window well leaked, and the carpet perpetually smelled like mildew. In winter, you could literally see your breath in there because the heating never reached properly. For his 16th birthday, Tyler got a freaking Mustang. Not just any Mustang. One Dad spent 3 months lovingly restoring in the garage. I remember watching them on weekends, grease on their hands, laughing as Dad taught Tyler about engines. I'd ask if I could help, and Dad would just tell me to go do my homework or mow the lawn. That car was Dad's pride and joy, and Tyler barely appreciated it. He crashed it twice in the first year, and both times, Dad just fixed it up without even raising his voice. Me? I got a lecture about responsibility and a bus schedule when I turned 16. Dad said a car was a privilege, not a right, and I needed to show financial responsibility. So, I got a job at the grocery store, saved for 8 months, and bought a beat-up 1998 Honda Civic with 140,000 miles on it for $2,800. It barely ran and needed constant repairs. But it was mine. And Dad? He never offered to help fix it, never taught me anything about car maintenance. I learned from YouTube videos in our driveway while he and Tyler were inside watching football. When Tyler barely scraped through high school with a 2.3 GPA, my parents threw him this massive graduation party. We're talking catered food, a DJ, 150 guests, a banquet hall rented out, and a slideshow that somehow made a C- student look like a scholar. The cake alone was $400. They even hired a photographer to capture every moment, and Tyler wore a custom-tailored suit. Dad gave this long, emotional speech about how proud he was of his son for overcoming obstacles and achieving his dreams, the obstacles being basic high school classes and the dreams being graduating after 5 years because he failed junior year English. 2 years earlier, when I graduated with a 3.8 GPA, National Honor Society membership, and acceptance to 3 universities with partial scholarships, I got a card with $50 and a good job while they were busy planning Tyler's college dorm setup. No party, no photographer, no speech. We went to a chain restaurant, and Tyler complained about the menu the entire time while Mom asked him what color sheets he wanted for his dorm. I sat there in my honor cords, watching them plan my brother's future, like mine was just an inconvenient interruption to their real priority. The next day, I asked Mom why Tyler got a big party, and I didn't. Her answer? Tyler needed extra encouragement because school was harder for him, and I was self-motivated enough that I didn't need external validation. Self-motivated. That's what you call a kid who figured out early that nobody was going to celebrate his achievements, so he'd better find motivation somewhere else. College was the same nightmare, just with higher stakes. Tyler went to State University, partied for 6 years, changed majors 4 times, and finally graduated with a communications degree he's never used. My parents paid for every single cent. Tuition, housing, meal plans, spending money, spring break trips, fraternity dues, the works. They probably dropped close to $180,000 on his extended adolescence. I remember Mom justifying it by saying Tyler needed to focus on his studies without the stress of working, never mind that he spent more time at parties than in class. Me? I went to community college while working full-time at a warehouse, then transferred to finish my business degree at a regional campus. I graduated with $31,000 in student loans that I'm still chipping away at. My parents' contribution? Exactly $0, and a lot of comments about how I should have applied myself more to get scholarships, like Tyler supposedly did. Tyler didn't get scholarships. He got a blank check from mom and dad and still took 6 years to graduate with a 4-year degree. I worked overnight shifts at the warehouse from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., then went straight to classes. I'd sit in the back of lecture halls, fighting to stay awake, chugging gas station coffee, eating vending machine food because I had no time for real meals. Other students complained about being tired from gaming or partying. I was tired from loading trucks for 8 hours. There were weeks I'd work 45 hours and attend 15 hours of classes, somehow finding time to study. Meanwhile, I'd see Facebook posts of Tyler at football games, parties, road trips with friends. I was calculating whether I could afford both textbooks and groceries that week. Usually couldn't. My parents knew all this. They'd see me exhausted at family dinners, falling asleep on their couch because I hadn't slept in my own bed in 3 days. Never once did they offer to help with tuition or reduce my hours by covering some expenses. But Tyler mentioning he wanted to join a fraternity, they had $800 for dues within a week. After college, I started at the bottom in supply chain management. Weird hours, angry clients, impossible deadlines. Slowly, over 8 years, I worked my way up to senior logistics coordinator. Nothing glamorous, but I make decent money now, around $73,000 plus bonuses. I own a small house in a decent neighborhood, have a reliable car, pay my bills on time. Basically, I'm living a normal, adult life. Tyler? He moved back home after graduation, spent 2 years finding himself, worked a series of part-time gigs he'd quit after a few months, and is currently doing freelance graphic design. By freelance, I mean he makes logos for his friends' failed startups and hasn't earned more than $15,000 in any given year. He's 28 and still living rent-free in my parents' finished basement. The real kicker is how my parents talk about us. Tyler is artistic and creative, finding his path. I'm too focused on money, missing the bigger picture. Tyler's lack of employment is following his passion. My stable career? Settling for corporate mediocrity. Every family gathering is the same exhausting performance. Mom asks Tyler about his latest project, like he's Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel. He'll talk for 30 minutes about some logo design that paid him $200 and she'll nod along, asking detailed questions about his creative process and artistic vision. Dad chimes in with observations about Tyler's business acumen and entrepreneurial spirit. They'll discuss his portfolio like it's a museum exhibition. Everyone sits there pretending that designing a logo for your buddy's failed startup is equivalent to running an actual business. Then Mom turns to me and asks if I'm still doing that warehouse thing. Not, how's work, or what projects are you managing? Just that warehouse thing, said with this tone that suggests I'm doing something vaguely embarrassing that she'd rather not discuss in detail. I manage supply chains for a regional manufacturing company. We handle logistics for 17 states, coordinate with over 40 vendors, and I'm responsible for inventory systems that track millions of dollars in products. I coordinate shipments worth more than my parents' house, solve complex distribution problems, and manage a team of people who actually depend on me to know what I'm doing. But sure, it's that warehouse thing. I tried explaining my job once at Thanksgiving, got about 3 sentences in before Tyler interrupted with a story about some Instagram influencer who wanted him to design their logo. Everyone's attention immediately shifted to him, and I just sat there, my half-finished explanation hanging in the air like a forgotten thought. Tyler's girlfriend, Brooklyn, is cut from the same cloth. She's a lifestyle influencer with 3,000 Instagram followers, most of whom are definitely bots, based on the engagement rates. She posts photos of smoothie bowls and sunset yoga poses while living off Tyler's allowance from our parents. An allowance that I just found out is $800 a month. Tyler's getting basically a free salary for existing while I worked overnight warehouse shifts to pay for community college. Brooklyn's content is exactly what you'd expect. Generic inspiration quotes over stock photos, sponsored posts for diet teas, and endless photos of her doing yoga in expensive athleisure wear. She once told me she was building an empire and asked if I wanted to invest in her personal brand expansion. I asked what that meant. She said she needed $5,000 for a professional photo shoot and some Instagram advertising. I declined. My girlfriend, Lily, is a middle school teacher. She works her butt off for a modest salary, spends her own money on classroom supplies, and genuinely cares about her students. She's smart, kind, funny, and way too good for me. We've been together 4 years, talking about engagement, building a real future together. But according to my family, Brooklyn's Instagram lifestyle is more impressive than Lily's actual career educating children. Mom constantly asks when I'm going to find someone with ambition like Brooklyn. The irony would be hilarious if it wasn't so infuriating. The absolute breaking point came 3 months ago. Tyler announced he was proposing to Brooklyn, and my parents immediately started planning an engagement party. Not a small gathering, a full production with a guest list of 80 people, catered food, an open bar, the works. Dad called, asking me to contribute to the party fund. They were planning to spend around $8,000 on this thing, and wanted me to chip in $2,000 since I was doing so well financially. Meanwhile, Tyler wasn't contributing anything because he was saving for the ring with money our parents gave him. I laughed. Actually laughed on the phone. I told Dad I wasn't funding Tyler's engagement party when Tyler wasn't even funding his own engagement ring. Dad went quiet for a second, then said, "Family helps family," and I was being selfish. Selfish? Coming from people who paid $0 toward my education while funding Tyler's 6-year party degree? I told Dad I'd think about it and hung up. I didn't think about it. Not for a second. 2 weeks later, Mom called. She was upset. I hadn't sent money. They'd budgeted expecting my contribution, and now they were short. They'd already put deposits down on the venue and caterer, assuming I'd come through with the $2,000. I reminded her I never agreed to contribute, never said yes, never implied yes, never even considered it. She said she assumed I'd do the right thing as Tyler's brother, that family supported family during important moments, that she'd raised me better than to abandon my brother when he needed me. The right thing, I said, would have been you treating both your kids equally. But we're way past that conversation. Mom got defensive immediately. They'd always treated us the same, she insisted. Her voice had that edge it gets when she knows she's wrong, but refuses to admit it. Any differences were because Tyler needed more support due to his creative nature. I was always more independent and didn't need as much help. I was the responsible one who could handle things on his own. This was the narrative they'd constructed over the years. Tyler needed more because he was sensitive, artistic, finding himself. I needed less because I was independent, capable, self-sufficient. Funny how independent really meant ignored, and self-sufficient meant we didn't feel like helping you. I brought up specifics because I was tired of the vague justifications. Tyler's car versus my bus pass. How did a vintage Mustang serve his creative nature? His fully funded 6-year college vacation versus my student loans that I'll be paying until I'm 40. Him living rent-free at 28 while I paid $400 a month starting at 19 years old to live in their basement. She had explanations for everything. Of course, the car was necessary for Tyler's social development. He needed to be able to attend events and maintain friendships. I'd wanted the independence of student loans to build credit and learn financial responsibility. Tyler needed time to find his passion, and charging him rent would have added pressure that might have stifled his creativity. Every excuse was garbage, and we both knew it, but she delivered each one with such conviction. Like, she'd practiced these justifications so many times, she'd actually started believing them. "You've always been jealous of your brother," she said, finally playing her trump card. That's when I knew we'd crossed into territory we couldn't come back from. I wasn't jealous of Tyler. I pitted him. He was 28, living in our parents' basement, earning poverty wages, completely unprepared for real life. What exactly was I supposed to be jealous of? Mom's voice went cold. At least Tyler knows how to be grateful. At least he appreciates what we do for him. You've always been difficult, always complaining, always making everything about you. Everything is about Tyler. I shot back. It's been about Tyler for 28 years. Then came the line that really hit different. Not because it hurt me, but because it revealed what she'd been thinking all along. Maybe if you were more like him, we'd want to help you more. They chose not to help me because I wasn't Tyler. Not because I didn't need it. Not because I was more independent, but because I wasn't him. Forget the party money, she said. Just forget it. We'll figure it out ourselves like we always do. We don't need anything from you. Something snapped inside me. All those years of being second choice, all the double standards, all the excuses, it crystallized into one moment of absolute clarity. Good, I said. Because from now on, you're getting nothing from me. Don't be dramatic, she scoffed. I'm serious. You don't need anything from me? Great. Consider this relationship over. She actually laughed. Like I'd told a joke. You're going to stop talking to us because we asked you to help with your brother's engagement party? That's ridiculous. No, I said, my voice steady. I'm going to stop talking to you because you've made it clear for 32 years that I'm the backup kid. The one who exists to make Tyler look good by comparison. I'm done with that role. You're being childish. Maybe, I said. But I'm also done. Fine. If that's how you feel, maybe I wish you were never born. Would have saved us a lot of trouble. There it was. The thing she'd probably thought 1,000 times, but finally said out loud. I wish you were never born. I went quiet. The phone felt heavy in my hand. Mom was breathing hard on the other end, probably realizing she'd crossed a line, but too stubborn to take it back. Okay, I said calmly. Consider your wish granted. From this moment forward, act like I was never born. Don't call. Don't text. Don't show up at my house. I don't exist to you anymore. Jake, don't be. I hung up. Blocked her number immediately. Then Dad's number. Then Tyler's number. Then I went through social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and blocked all of them there, too. I removed every family member from my contacts who I knew would try to relay messages or play mediator. The cousins who'd side with my parents, aunts and uncles who'd try to smooth things over. Family friends who'd been watching this dysfunction for years without saying anything. The blocking process was therapeutic, in a way. Each number I blocked felt like cutting another thread that had been holding me down. By the time I finished, I'd removed 17 contacts. 17 people who were connected to that toxic system. Lily came home from work an hour later to find me sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. She teaches 7th grade English, and Fridays are always rough, but she took one look at my face and dropped everything. What happened? She asked, sitting down next to me without even taking off her coat. I told her everything. The party fund demand, the conversation with Mom getting heated, every excuse she'd made for 32 years of treating me like I didn't matter, the comment about me being jealous, the final, gut-wrenching insult about wishing I was never born. Lily listened without interrupting, her face getting harder with each detail. Her teacher patience wearing thin as she heard how my own mother had spoken to me. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she grabbed my hand and looked me straight in the eyes. I'm proud of you, she said firmly. Not, are you sure about this? Or maybe you should reconsider. Or give them time to cool off. Just, I'm proud of you. No qualifications, no doubts, no suggestions that I was overreacting. That's when I knew I'd made the right choice, both in cutting off my family and in choosing Lily. She saw immediately what had taken me 32 years to accept, that the relationship was toxic and one-sided, that I deserved better than being the backup kid, and that some bridges need to burn. The first week was quiet. I kept expecting angry calls or texts, but my blocks held. No contact from anyone. Part of me wondered if they'd even noticed, or if they were just relieved to have one less obligation. Then Tyler's engagement party happened. I knew the date because it had been mentioned repeatedly before I blocked everyone. That Saturday, I took Lily out for a nice dinner, went to a movie, came home, and played video games until midnight. Didn't think about the party once. Sunday morning, my doorbell rang at 8 a.m. I opened it to find my Aunt Rachel standing there, looking uncomfortable. Rachel is my mom's younger sister, and she's always been the reasonable one in the family, the person who'd actually listen when I complained about the favoritism. She'd nod sympathetically, but never actually do anything about it. "Your mom asked me to talk to you," she said. "Not interested," I replied. "Jake, please, just hear me out." Against my better judgment, I let her in. Lily was still asleep, so we sat in the kitchen while I made terrible coffee. Rachel explained the party had been a disaster. Not because I wasn't there, they barely noticed that. It was a disaster because, without my $2,000 contribution, they'd had to scale back significantly. Instead of the fancy venue they'd wanted, they used my parents' backyard. Instead of a catering company, Mom and her friends made food. Instead of an open bar, they had a cooler of drinks. Brooklyn was furious, Rachel said. She expected this big, fancy party, and it was basically a barbecue. She and Tyler had a huge fight in front of everyone. She accused him of not caring enough to give her a proper engagement celebration. "Sounds like a personal problem," I said, deadpan. "Tyler feels terrible. He thinks you sabotaged his party on purpose." I actually laughed. I sabotaged his party by not giving him money I never agreed to give? That's some creative logic. Rachel looked uncomfortable. "Your mom is really hurt. She didn't mean what she said on the phone." "Yes, she did," I replied. "She meant every word. She wished I was never born. So, I'm making that wish come true." She was angry. People say things they don't mean when they're angry. "Rachel," I said, my voice firm. "I've had 32 years to observe how my parents treat me versus how they treat Tyler." That comment wasn't a slip of the tongue. It was the truth finally coming out. She tried the family angle. Blood is thicker than water. We only get one set of parents. Life is too short for grudges. I shut down every cliché with simple facts. They'd chosen Tyler over me for 3 decades. I was just accepting their choice. "What do you want me to tell your mom?" Rachel asked finally. "Tell her exactly what I told her. I don't exist to her anymore. She needs to act like I was never born." "You don't mean that." "I absolutely mean that." Rachel left looking defeated. I felt nothing. No guilt, no regret, no sadness, just relief that my boundaries were holding. 2 weeks later, Dad showed up at my work. My work. He somehow got past the front desk and showed up at my office door during lunch. "We need to talk," he said. "No, we don't," I replied, calmly eating my sandwich. "You're being stubborn." "I'm being consistent. I told Mom I was done. That includes you." He sat down anyway, uninvited. Started talking about how I was tearing the family apart, how Tyler was upset, how Mom cried every day, how this whole situation was ridiculous over a few $1,000s. "It's not about the money," I interrupted. "It's about 32 years of being treated like I don't matter." "That's not true," he insisted. "Dad, you restored a Mustang for Tyler's 16th birthday. You gave me a bus schedule. You said you didn't want a car." I was 14 when I said that because I knew we couldn't afford 2 cars. Then Tyler turned 16, and suddenly money wasn't an issue. He had no response to that. Just sat there looking uncomfortable. "You paid for Tyler's college completely. I graduated with $31,000 in debt that I'm still paying off. We were in a better financial position when Tyler went to school. You bought him a car 3 years before he went to school. You could have saved that money for my education instead." Again, nothing. "Tyler lives in your basement rent-free at 28. I paid rent at 19. Tyler needs more time to establish himself. And I didn't." We went in circles for 20 minutes. Every double standard I brought up, he had an excuse for. Every example of favoritism, he explained away. He genuinely couldn't see it, or he could see it but couldn't admit it. Finally, I told him to leave or I'd call security. He stood up, angry now. "You're going to regret this," he said. "Family is all you've got in this world." "Then I guess I don't have much," I replied. He left. I finished my sandwich and went back to work. That evening, my boss called me into his office. "Your father was here today," he said carefully. "I know. I'm sorry about that. He told me some concerning things," my boss continued. "Said you were having a mental health crisis and might not be reliable at work. Wanted me to keep an eye on you." My blood ran cold. I'm not having any crisis. We had an argument, and I cut contact. He's trying to cause problems. My boss nodded. That's what I figured. The fact that he'd come to your workplace and make those claims told me more about him than about you. But I wanted you to know in case he tries other things. Other things, I thought. Like he might escalate beyond just showing up. I thanked my boss and left. Called Lily on the way home and told her what happened. She was furious. Her suggestion was getting a restraining order, but that felt extreme. Instead, I sent a group email to my boss, HR, and building security explaining the family situation and requesting they not allow my parents or brother into the building. The next week, Tyler showed up at my house. It was a Tuesday evening. Lily and I were cooking dinner when the doorbell rang. I checked the peephole and saw him standing there in his standard outfit of artistically distressed jeans and a vintage band t-shirt. I didn't open the door. I just called through it. Go away, dude. Come on. We need to talk, he yelled. Nothing to talk about. You're ruining my engagement. Brooklyn's family thinks we're broke because of the party situation. Her dad keeps asking why my brother didn't help out. It's embarrassing. Sounds like a you problem, I said. Stop being petty. I know you're mad about the college thing and the car thing, but that was years ago. Get over it. The college thing and the car thing, like they were isolated incidents instead of symptoms of a lifetime pattern. Tyler, I said, my voice flat. I'm going to say this once. Leave. Don't come back. If you show up again, I'm calling the police. Over what? I'm your brother. Trespassing. Now leave. He stood there another minute, probably expecting me to crack. I didn't. Eventually, he left, but not before shouting that I was being a jerk and that Brooklyn's family thought our whole family was dysfunctional. Good, I muttered. Let them think that. Not my problem anymore. Week 5 brought the really creative escalation. Mom started calling Lily. She'd gotten Lily's number somehow, probably from an old family event where we'd shared contact info. The messages started sympathetic. She was worried about me, wanted to make sure I was okay, hoped Lily could talk some sense into me. Lily didn't respond to any of them. Then Mom shifted tactics, started suggesting maybe Lily was the problem. Maybe she was turning me against my family. Maybe she didn't understand family dynamics. Maybe she was isolating me. Classic manipulation, attempting to drive a wedge between us. Lily showed me every message. We blocked Mom's number on her phone, too. That Saturday, Mom showed up at the elementary school where Lily teaches. Waited until after classes and approached her in the parking lot. Lily called me immediately. Your mom is here. She's crying and saying she just wants to talk to you. Don't engage. Get in your car and leave. She's blocking my car. I told Lily to call the school security officer. Mom was removed from school property and warned about trespassing. Lily filed a formal report with the principal explaining the situation, and they flagged Mom's name in their security system. This was getting out of hand. They'd gone from asking me to reconsider to actively harassing me and the people around me. I talked to a lawyer friend who suggested documenting everything and considering a restraining order if it continued. Month 2 brought an unexpected twist. My Uncle Dave reached out. Dave is Dad's brother, and we'd always gotten along okay. He wasn't asking me to reconcile. He wanted to tell me something. We met at a diner across town. Dave looked uncomfortable, kept stirring his coffee without drinking it. I'm not here to take sides, he started. But you should know what's being said about you. Apparently, my parents had been telling people I'd had a breakdown, that I'd become unstable and cut off the family without reason, that I'd always been troubled, and they'd try to help, but I refused. They were painting themselves as victims of my mental illness. Mom's telling people you threatened her, Dave said, that you called her horrible names and said violent things. She's saying she's afraid of you. This was beyond simple manipulation. This was character assassination. They were creating a narrative where I was dangerous, unstable, the villain, where they were innocent victims of my irrational behavior. None of that happened, I said. I know, Dave replied. I've known you your whole life. You're probably the most stable person in that family, but they're committed to this story. Why are you telling me this? Dave shrugged. Because it's wrong. And because I watched them do the same thing to you for years. The favoritism, the double standards. I saw it. Most of us saw it. We just didn't say anything. Why not? Because it wasn't our place. Because your parents are adults who make their own choices. Because getting involved in other people's family dynamics is complicated.
He paused.
But this is different. They're lying about you, damaging your reputation. That's too far. I thanked Dave for the heads up, asked if he'd be willing to make a statement if it came to legal action. He said yes, without hesitation. Armed with Dave's information, I sent a clear message through my lawyer to my parents. Stop spreading false information about me. Stop contacting my workplace. Stop contacting Lily. Stay away from our properties. Any further contact would result in legal action, including restraining orders and a defamation suit. The lawyer's letter worked. Sort of. Direct contact stopped, but the rumor mill didn't. Extended family members kept trying to reach out as mediators. Some bought my parents' story about me being unstable. Others just wanted everyone to get along. I maintained my position. No contact meant no contact. I wasn't interested in mediation, family therapy, or reconciliation. The bridge wasn't just burned. It was nuked from orbit, and the ashes scattered. Month 3 brought Tyler's wedding planning. Apparently, Brooklyn had gotten over her disappointment about the engagement party, and they'd set a date for 6 months out. According to my Aunt Rachel, who still occasionally updated me despite my preferences, it was going to be a big, expensive affair. Dad had asked Tyler if he wanted me as a best man. Tyler said no. He'd rather have his friend Brandon, someone who actually supported his relationship.
Good.
Save me from having to decline. But here's where it got interesting. Brooklyn's parents were old-school traditionalists. They expected the groom's family to host certain events and contribute to specific wedding costs. When they found out Tyler's brother was involved, they started asking questions. According to Rachel, Brooklyn's father point-blank asked my parents what was wrong with me. Why wasn't I participating in my brother's wedding? Was I in prison? On drugs? Estranged over something serious? Mom apparently tried her mental illness story, but Brooklyn's father wasn't buying it. He'd done some basic internet searching, found my LinkedIn, saw my normal, professional life, asked around through his network. I wasn't unstable. I was a functioning adult with a good job and a clean record. So, he pushed harder. What had actually caused the rift? The truth came out eventually, not from my parents, but from various family members. Brooklyn's father heard about the favoritism, the college funding disparity, the party fund drama, Mom's comment about wishing I was never born. Brooklyn's father was reportedly furious. Not at me, but at my parents. He came from a large family where everyone was treated equally. The idea of parents openly favoring one child over another was unacceptable to him. He apparently told Tyler that maybe he should consider whether Brooklyn really wanted to marry into a family with such dysfunction. Tyler panicked. He called me from a number I didn't recognize. I answered without thinking. "Dude, you're destroying my life," he said immediately. "Tyler, Brooklyn's dad thinks our family is screwed up because of you. He's questioning whether she should marry me. Her mom is asking all these questions about how we were raised. This is a nightmare." "Sounds like a personal problem," I said. "You need to fix this. Come to dinner. Talk to Brooklyn's parents. Show them you're not some crazy person." I'm not the one who told them I was crazy. That was Mom. Whatever. Just fix it.
No.
What do you want? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry you're upset about the college stuff there. Now, fix this. I don't want anything from you. I want you to leave me alone. You're really going to let me lose Brooklyn over this? You're not losing Brooklyn over me. You might lose her because she's realizing what kind of family you come from. That's not my fault. He started getting angry, calling me selfish and petty. I hung up and blocked that number, too. But the damage was done. Brooklyn started having serious doubts about marrying Tyler. Not because of me specifically, but because of what my absence revealed about my parents' character. If they could treat one son so differently from another, what did that say about their values? Her father was even more direct. He told Tyler he wouldn't give his blessing for the marriage unless some serious family issues got resolved. He wanted to see my parents acknowledge what they'd done and make genuine efforts to repair the relationship with me. My parents predictably refused. They hadn't done anything wrong. Any problems were because of my attitude and unrealistic expectations. They'd treated both sons fairly, and I was just ungrateful. Brooklyn's father told Tyler the wedding was off until the family situation improved. Brooklyn agreed with her father. She wanted a marriage based on healthy family dynamics, not whatever toxic situation my parents had created. Tyler's wedding got postponed indefinitely. He blamed me completely. Started posting vague things on social media about family betrayal and fake people. I'd blocked him, but Lily showed me screenshots from mutual acquaintances. Month 4 was quiet. No contact attempts, no escalation, just silence. I wondered if they'd finally accepted the situation, or if they were regrouping for another approach. Turned out it was neither. They were dealing with consequences. Uncle Dave called with an update. Tyler had moved out of my parents' basement. The postponed wedding and Brooklyn's ultimatums had forced him to get his life together. He'd gotten a real job doing IT support at a mid-sized company. Not glamorous, but steady income. He and Brooklyn had moved into a small apartment together. More interesting, Brooklyn had insisted on premarital counseling, focusing on family dynamics and boundaries. She'd made it clear she wouldn't marry into a family that practiced the kind of favoritism mine had demonstrated. Tyler was apparently in counseling, trying to understand his own complicity in the dysfunction. "Your brother's growing up," Dave said, painfully, "but he's growing up. Good for Tyler, I guess. Didn't change anything for me." Even more interesting, my parents were facing social consequences. Other family members had started distancing themselves after hearing the full story. Cousins who'd always been close to Mom were suddenly busy when she called. Dad's weekly poker night dissolved when 3 of the 5 regular players decided they didn't want to associate with someone who treated his kid that way. The church community they'd been active in for 20 years was asking questions. Someone had mentioned the situation to the pastor during a counseling session. He'd apparently given my parents a gentle suggestion that they reflect on their parenting choices and consider making amends. They'd stopped attending church rather than face those conversations. "They're becoming social pariahs," Dave said. "Not completely, but people are treating them differently now. They're facing consequences for the first time." Month 5 brought the letter. Not a text or email, but an actual handwritten letter delivered by certified mail from Dad. It was 3 pages long. Started with a lengthy explanation of their parenting philosophy, how they tried to meet each child's unique needs, how they'd always loved both of us equally, even if they expressed it differently. Then it shifted to justifications. The car situation was about Tyler needing social opportunities one didn't care about. The college funding was about their financial situation changing. Tyler living rent-free was temporary help during a difficult time. Page 3 finally got to something resembling an apology. They were sorry I felt hurt. Sorry I'd misunderstood their intentions. Sorry our relationship had deteriorated over a misunderstanding about the engagement party. The letter ended with an invitation to family counseling with a mediator of my choosing. They wanted to repair the relationship and help me understand their perspective better. I read it twice, showed it to Lily. She summarized it perfectly. That's not an apology. That's a justification with an apology filter. She was right. The entire letter was about them. Their intentions, their perspective, their pain. The only thing they were sorry about was that I'd misunderstood them. They weren't sorry for what they'd done. They were sorry I'd reacted to it. I didn't respond to the letter, just filed it away in case I needed documentation later. 2 weeks later, Tyler reached out through LinkedIn of all places. Professional network messaging seemed like a weird choice, but maybe he figured I couldn't block him there without looking petty to professional contacts. His message was different from the phone call, more measured, less demanding. "I've been in counseling like Brooklyn wanted, talking about family stuff, realizing some things I didn't see before. You were right about the favoritism. I didn't see it because I was the one benefiting from it. That was wrong. I'm sorry." I wrote back one sentence. "Good luck with that." Not mean, not encouraging, just acknowledgement. He'd apologized. I'd acknowledged it. That's all our relationship could be. Last week, Aunt Rachel texted one final time. Mom had asked her to reach out about my engagement. Apparently, they'd heard through mutual Facebook connections. She wants to come to the wedding. She's very hurt she wasn't told. I replied, she told me she wished I was never born. I'm making that wish come true. She doesn't get to participate in the life she wished didn't exist. Rachel didn't respond after that.
So here I am.
Planning a wedding without the people who raised me. Building a life with someone who actually sees me as more than a backup option. Creating a family based on choice, rather than obligation.